Your future is not accidental. It is designed by leaders. Welcome to Next Gen CEO, where future leaders are built.
All right, let's jump right in. We all know OpenAI, but how did it become this $500 billion giant? It wasn't just about the code. It was a masterclass in strategy, in solving problems that seemed completely impossible. So today, we're going to deconstruct the playbook that made it all happen. And really, this was the central puzzle right from the very beginning. They had this huge, world-changing mission, but the kind of money they needed to even attempt it was, well, it was astronomical. And this one question, how you square that circle, is the key to understanding pretty much every big move they've made since. So let's start right there with that first impossible problem, this giant gap between their incredibly idealistic mission and the cold, hard financial reality. It's the kind of conflict that forces you to totally reinvent who you are. I mean, the contrast here is just night and day, isn't it? On one side, you've got this beautiful, noble goal, build AGI for the good of literally everyone, a pure nonprofit dream. And then, bam, reality hits. The brutal truth is that training these models costs more money than almost any nonprofit in history could ever imagine raising. And this number right here, tells the story of the crisis point. There was this big pledge of $1 billion, but by 2019, look, only $130 million had actually landed in the bank. This wasn't just a minor setback. This was a 5-alarm fire. They were running out of cash, and the entire mission was about to go up in smoke. Something big had to change, and it had to change fast. So what do? Well, they did what tech companies do best. They iterated. But here's the twist. It wasn't on their code. It was on their entire company structure. And this is the first major play in the playbook, being willing to completely rip up your legal and financial model to protect the mission. And you can see that evolution right here on this timeline. They start out as a pure nonprofit, totally mission-driven. But when the money well ran dry, they had to get creative. So in 2019, they invent this capped profit thing to bring in serious investors. And then later, to get the really huge institutional money, they evolve again into a public benefit corporation, which legally lets them chase profits while still serving that core mission. But, solving one problem often creates another one. Remember that crazy weekend in late 2023 when Sam Altman was suddenly fired? The whole world was watching. And that crisis revealed something huge. Having control on paper and having control in reality can be two very different things. And that brings us to this critical idea of the super stakeholder. Think about it. When over 500 of your employees threatened to quit on the spot, they and your biggest partner, Microsoft, showed who really had the power. They basically vetoed a board decision. The lesson here for any founder is massive. You have to manage these informal power centers just as carefully as you manage your board. Okay, so they've got a new structure that can actually raise money. Now they have to go out and tackle the next two impossible problems. And these are the absolute lifeblood of AI. Getting your hands on just an insane amount of computing power and hiring the smartest people on the entire planet. If you want to understand the sheer scale of their solution to the compute problem, just look at this number. Microsoft's stake is valued at a mind-boggling $135 billion. This isn't just a partnership. It's one of the most important strategic deals in the history of tech. So how does it actually work? Well, at its heart, it's a compute for equity deal. Microsoft gets a big slice of the revenue and access to the tech, which gives them a huge advantage. And in return, OpenAI gets a massive, guaranteed supply of cloud computing from Azure. It's the oxygen they need to breathe and keep building. Okay, so that's compute. What about talent? How in the world do you compete for engineers when Google and Meta can offer absolutely insane salaries? Well, their strategy is brilliant, and it's simple. You don't. You don't even try to win on perks. You win on purpose. You go after the people who are truly driven by that mission to build AGI. And here's how they actually do it. It's not about just hiring tons of people. It's about achieving what they call talent density. They figure out the 50 or so roles that are make or break for the company, and they aim to fill 80% of those with absolute rock stars. It's like a surgical strike for team building. So let's recap. They have the money, they have the compute, they have the talent. They're all set, right? Well, not quite. Now they're facing maybe the biggest threat of all, coming from the market itself. How do you build a business that lasts when your core product is in danger of becoming a cheap, easily copied commodity? And this is the great war in AI right now. On one side, you've got these incredibly powerful open source models that are way cheaper for companies to use. So what's OpenAI's countermove? They're not trying to be just another model. They're building an everything platform, an ecosystem so deep and so integrated that it becomes almost impossible to leave. So how do you actually build a platform like that? It's a three-pronged attack. First, unbeatable distribution. You become the default, the thing everyone knows. Second, you build an ecosystem, get developers, companies, even entire countries hooked on your tools. And third, you build a capital moat. You raise so much money so fast that nobody can even dream of catching up. And that first step, distribution, wow, they absolutely crushed it. 700 million people using ChatGPT every week. That's not a user base, that's a cultural movement. When people think AI, they think ChatGPT. You just can't buy that kind of advantage. Okay, so we've walked through this incredible journey. Let's boil it all down. What are the key lessons here? What's the actual playbook for anyone else out there trying to build something that truly changes the world? All right, plays 1 and 2 are all about your structure and your people. First, don't get stuck on your corporate structure. Be willing to change it, to iterate on it if that's what the mission needs. And second, never forget that real power isn't just about who's on the board. Identify your super stakeholders, your indispensable talent and key partners, and make sure they are on your side. Next up, plays 3 and 4 focus on culture and product. Play 3, hire for purpose. Use your mission as a magnet to attract the absolute best people who care about more than just a paycheck. And play 4, which was a genius move, release early and learn fast. Launching ChatGPT as a research preview gave them feedback from millions of real users, creating a data flywheel that's now almost impossible for anyone else to replicate. And here it is, the final play. And honestly, for any company trying to build something really hard, whether it's AI, biotech, new energy, whatever, this is the big one. This is non-negotiable. You have to secure your oxygen, your core infrastructure. For OpenAI, that was compute. That long-term deal wasn't just a nice-to-have, it was the foundation for everything that came next. So when you look at it all, OpenAI's playbook has been unbelievably effective. They've built this incredible fortress with capital, with code, and with a world-changing mission. But it all leads us to one final huge question. In a race that's moving this fast, where the technology changes every few months, is any fortress truly safe? Is any lead secure? That's the question that's going to
Thank you for watching. If you stayed till the end, you are here to build a better future. You are in the right place and moving in the right direction.
Subscribe and stay connected.